Hello. Yes, now, madam, I've happened to record in 2 sessions just because of the freezing, one-to-point freezing of this PC. I know the Android is so heavy and it's making everything in this PC run slow. So, as the second session, now I'm to explain my code. And as I had said, this is the manifest. We have the label is named job allocation system. This is activities. We have menu with the theme of art style, app theme, an action bar. And from there, maybe I can take you to the layouts with their designs. First of all, this is the login design and code. Yeah, so this is it. The width to match parent plus the height. Then the background is white. The color background. And the padding, set it to 20 dp, and the padding left, bottom, right and top. And the context is, of course, the tools context is activities, login activity. So this is now the text view. I used the text view to say the title of the app as job finder and a location app. That's how it was. Then on and use the Android X app combat widget for the image view. This is it. And this image I had already added it in the drawable in the resources. It's called admin 2. Then when we get to this, its ID is ID stroke text input edit text email, then plus the password like that. I can get maybe to the register design. See, as you can see, no big difference in the explanation. Now the register button is here. That already links you. And then have the splash form. This is just displayed as soon as you log in successfully, and then it later takes us to the users list plus the mapping and the user recycler, the item user recycler like that. So I can take you maybe to the Java classes. That's the login activity. But first, I can take you to the database. I have the database helper, and this is extended with the SQLite open helper. The static final string database name is user manager.db, as I had said in the slides. Then have a table user. These are the columns where we have user ID, username, user email, and user password, and they are assigned to user ID, username, user email, user password, like that. Then here is how we can create a table. Of course, is an ID in an integer, of course, and it's the primary key with auto increment. And then another column of name, the variable, a text variable, then column user email, like that, with the text variable, then the password also in text. So this is how you can drop a user table. Then when we get to the database helper, this is how we would do it. We get to super context, then database name, like that. We go on, then we can also drop a user table if exists. That's db.sql drop user table. Then we can get to the method, and this method is to create user record. That's SQLite database db, and this, which is equaling to this dot get writable database. Now you can even insert a row whereby you can say db dot insert like table user, then null, then values, and then you close db. So this other method now is to fetch all user and return the list of user records, where you suppress linked range, and these are the arrow columns to fetch, where we have column user ID, column user email, column username, column user password. So we can even sort orders. That's string sort order. A column username plus the ASC. ASC simply means ascending, in an order of ascending order. You can even choose to use descending depending on your choice. Then this is the query for the user table. Here the query function is used to fetch records from user table, and this function works like we use the SQL query. The SQL query equivalent to this query function is select a user ID, username, user email, user password from user order by username. And that's how we come to use the cursor. Now, this is how we can traverse through all rows and adding to list. And after this, you can add user record to list. Then later return the user list. And we go on with the other method, which is to update user records. This is how we can go about it, where the values to put column username, then user get name. This is automatic in updating. So we also have this other method to delete the user record, whereby we say like delete user record by ID, and then there's some other method now that we can use to check user exit or not. This is so simple that we can return true or false. And these now are the array of columns to fetch. Then we can select the criteria, then select argument, then plus the query user table with condition. Here the query function is used to fetch records from user table, and this function works like we use the SQL query. It's also equivalent to this query function. Now here we select a user ID from user, where user email is jack@androidtutorialshop.com. Here the table to query, then columns to return, columns for where clause, then the values for the where clause, then group the rows, filter by row groups, and then the sort order. Now the last method now is to check the last method, as I had said, is to check user exit or not. So now I can that's the database helper that I said with the SQLite database. Now we also have the database handler. Yes, this helps us majorly in the spinners and other functionalities. Whereby now we have the database version as database version 1, then the database name as spinner example. Then we go on and get labels, the table name, then labels table, these labels table column names. Then after we create tables, we upgrade the database. Here I can drop older table if existed, then create tables again. I can even insert new table, rather new label into labels table. Then getting all labels returns list of labels. Then select all query, can loop through all rows and adding to list. Then later close connection. Then at last have to return labels. Thank you very much. And now get to the login activity, whereby we have these imports. The SQL database helper, material snack bar, the text field, text inputted text, then even the text field, text input layout. So this is how managed to declare them. The nested scroll view like that. And then override the methods. Then this method is to initialize views here, by, like, for example, nested scroll view is equal to nested scroll view and find view by ID method, like that. And this other method is to initialize listeners. whereby you can set on click listener. Then this following method is to initialize objects to be used, whereby you have objects like database helper, then input validation, and then this method implements to listen to the click on view. This other method simply is to validate the input text fields and verify login credentials from the SQLite. Verifies login credentials from the SQLite text input, edit text email, and the text input layout email. That is for the login. Then at last, if else, if we use the method, the loops of if else, there is this snack bar to show success message that record is wrong, whereby you can throw a message like wrong email or password. Then the last method now is to empty or input edit text, whereby you can set it text input edit text mail dot set text brackets null. You can get to the list activity, like no difference, no bigger difference. I first initialize the views, then initialize listeners, and this thereafter you initialize objects to be used, then you implement method is to listen to the click on view, like that, and so forth. So this is for the user's list activity, whereby you initialize the app compatibility activity, like user's list activity like this, and so forth. So this is the user recycle adapter I was saying, whereby you declare the list user as list users, and then we can use this method in inflating recycle item views. And then go on and view holder classes. Yes, so with the helpers we have the input validation. So we have constructors and methods to check input the text field. I also have a method to check input edit text as valid email. Then a method to hide keyboard. Yes, like that, and so forth. Then we have a model of user. After that, you can get to the mapping, where here you initialize everything on the on item selected listener, like radio button, buttons, radio group, spinner button, like that. And then we have spinner elements, we have add button, then input text. And this method now, we can use the spinner element, the add button, new label input field, spinner click listener, loading spinner data from database, then the submit button. And after, can add new label button click listener. whereby we can use a database handler, then a method of inserting new label into database, then we can make input field text to blank, then hiding the keyboard, loading spinner with newly added data, like that. And I also have a function to load the spinner data from SQLite database. And here I used a database handler, spinner drop down elements, then created the adapter for the spinner. Then after, I drop down layout style, that's the list view with radio button. Then I attach the adapter, the data adapter to the spinner. And after, I had to code a method that is on selecting a spinner item, then later show the selected spinner item. Now with my menus, this is how I declare them: navigation view as nav, action bar, draw, toggle, then draw layout as draw layout. So here I use the case and break looping. With the menu, these are the texts. The text like red panel is open, then message panel is open, then alert logout is open, profile panel is open, register users panel is open, alert panel is open. Those are the simple messages that are toasted after every link is clicked on and is successful. And this is for the splash. Splash was the other form of finder. It was set to runnable. Then the delay mills as 3000. Now with this, madam, I can now run the code. Here it's building and starting Rado demo. Now, madam, after running, this is how it came up. So here, like for example, if I don't have an account, I can click on create one. So it's taking long. Then here I can add a name like Mike, then email like Michael at gmail.com, then password like 123, and confirm password like 123, and then register. Email already exists. That means I had already used it. Then I can maybe come up and change the email to something else like Michael at gmail.com. Then I register. It again says registration successful. So after coming, I can get back to to the login. Sorry. After getting to the login, can type in the email. It's Michael Mike. Then the password is that. Then come and log in. So having Android Studios is Gradle invocation finished with 0 errors. Yeah, it's still building. It hasn't become successful yet.